Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear learners, Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Ramzan, and today we are going to discuss IOSH Managing Safely, that is volume 5.0. And this is my first session on IOSH Managing Safely. I will try to make you understand, and we will discuss all the aspects related to the IOSH as well as all the relevant information which is in practical field as well as the relevant information are available in OSHA as well as the NIBUSH. We will discuss all whatever the information is relevant to the module, relevant to the topic. My dear listeners, I want to make it clear to you that I have selected the English language to record these videos. The purpose to record videos in English is because as a safety supervisor, as a safety manager, you would be responsible to control the accident, control the losses of the organization, as well as a safety supervisor, as a safety manager, you have to deal with all employees of the organization as well. Employees can be your manager, your supervisor, general manager, workers, and furthermore, those employees can be a multinational, multicultural as well. So the acceptable language for safety supervisor, for the safety manager, for the safety officer, that is the English. That's why I used to deliver the lectures. Either I am taking the online classes or either I am taking the face-to-face classes. I used to communicate in English. The purpose is to improve your communication skill. The purpose is to improve your English communication, especially because I have seen many people's they were terminated from the organization. Their annual assessment was decreased or they showed negative assessment because they people were not good in English communication. So, my dear learners, there are many of the qualities of the safety supervisor or safety manager, but the most important quality is that is the communication skill, and especially English communication skills. So that's why I will try to speak simple language, understandable language for you, so there will be no problem. But again, the objective is to improve your English communication. The objective is to prepare you for international market, to prepare you to work in some multinational, multicultural, and multinational organization. My dear learners, basically when we talk about IOSH, IOSH is called Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, which is the awarding body of UK, which deals with the health and safety, that how to manage the health and safety in the organization, how to work as a safety officer, and how you will control the losses of the organization, and how you will make the arrangement as a safety supervisor, and what types of arrangement you have to ensure in the organization. The purpose to make these arrangements is that there should be no accident in the organization. In IOSH Managing Safely, we will discuss 7 modules. There are 7 modules of IOSH Managing Safely. The first module that is related to the introducing managing safety, that what is the safety, what is the hazard, and what is the role of safety officer, and why the health and safety department is established. We will discuss in chapter number 1. This is all about the introduction of health and safety. In module 2, we will discuss about the risk assessment. We will talk about the assessing risk, that what is the risk and what is the hazard, how hazard assessment is carried out, what is the major risk, what is the medium, and what is the minor. And after the assessment, ultimately, as a safety supervisor who will be responsible to take the control measures, to take the corrective action, and to one thing more, which is very important, that why we are assessing the risk, why we are carrying out the risk assessment. The purpose to assess the risk is to prioritize that which should be prioritized, which should be kept at the priority A, priority B, as talking about the control measures or corrective action. And in chapter number 3 or module 3, we will be talking about the controlling the risk, that once the hazard identification is carried out, assessment is also carried out. Now, this is the time to take the control measures, and your control measure will be in the form of engineering control, administrative control, and personal protective equipment. And sometimes we call these controls are elimination. The second one is the reduce, isolate, personal protective equipment, discipline as well. And in chapter number 4, my dear learners, we will talk about the responsibilities, understanding your responsibility, that what you have to do as a safety supervisor, as a safety manager, what will be your task, and how the health and safety rules and regulations are implemented in the organization. And when you are working as a safety supervisor, what would be there to guide you, that what you have to do and what not to do. Mean when to act, when not to act, and what to do and what not to do. Ultimately, laws are there, rules, regulations are there. Some international and national laws are there, which would always be guiding you that what you have to do. And in module number 5, we will talk about the identifying the hazards. This is also very important topic, because identification of a hazard, usually I say that identification of the hazard is a 50% solution of the hazard. Once the hazards are identified, it means you have made the 50% solution. So, when we talk about the hazard, we say that the hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm. For example, if there is a naked wire in your home, that is the hazard. If there is a slippery surface, that is the hazard. If there is excessive noise, that is the hazard. If there are fumes or gases are there, those are the hazard. So these are the different categories, and even we will discuss more in detail about the hazard. And my dear learners, it does not mean that hazards are only available in the organization. These hazards are also available or can be available at your home as well. So it means that whatever we will learn in this course, you have to apply these safety procedures in your home as well as in your organization. In module 6, my dear learners, we will talk about the investigating accident and incident. Now, question arises, most of the people say that after the happening of accident, to carry out the investigation is the useless process. So what do you think? Investigation is the useful process or it is a useless process? Ultimately, it is a useful process. Through investigation, we will come to know that what was the cause of accident, why this accident has happened. Ultimately, we will try to avoid such accident. They should not happen in the future. We will try to control those accidents. So we will discuss all these things in chapter number 6, or you can say module number 6. My dear learners, in module number 7, the next module is module number 7. We will talk about the measuring performance. Measuring performance means that we have to measure our health and safety performance. That either we have achieved the objectives, either we have achieved our targets, either we have achieved our zero accident in the organization or not. If we have achieved, it means our performance is good. And if we did not achieve, if we are unable to achieve the targets, mean if accidents are there, it means that the safety officer is not working well. His performance is not good. He needs to improve his performance. So we will also discuss this in detail. My dear learners, measuring performance is always important in every walk of life. Once we were the student at school, colleges, or university, there was the professor, there was the teachers and the lecturer. They were always measuring our performance. So measuring performance is everywhere as very important, because through performance we will come to know about our weaknesses. Through performance we will come to know about our strengths. Strengths will be improved more, and weaknesses will also be improved. Mean corrective action, some control measures, some precautionary measures will be taken, that how we can remove our weaknesses, how we can go for the perfection, how we can go for the improvement, and how the performance, overall performance of the organization or performance of the safety department or even performance of the individual can be improved. Even this performance is also with performance measurement is also important. Even if you are the captain of the football team or cricket team, if you are the coach of your cricket team, ultimately you would always be measuring the performance of your uh, team player, your team members, that everyone is playing at his best or not. Ultimately, if someone is not doing good, he may be replaced or he may be trained further to improve the performance. So this was the little bit introduction of our 7 modules, which we will discuss in this course in detail. So the first, now we will talk about the module number 1, and that is related to the managing safety. My dear fellows, in this module number 1, we will try to learn the answer of these 2 questions. And really, these 2 questions are very important. And especially question 1, mean you can say, why is it important to manage safety? This is very important question. And this question is usually is the part of NEBOSH IGC. And this question is also part of the OSHA. And this question is also, this is the part of the IOSH managing safety. And this is very important question. And this question is also asked during the interview when you are applying for the job. That why the health and safety is important. Why the health and safety is important to manage in the organization. My dear learners, there are different reasons that why the health and safety is important. For example, if I talk about the reason that why it is important to manage, the first reason, that is the economic reason. Financial reason. Mean the health and safety is important due to because we try to control the losses, because we try to control the damages of the organization, because we try to improve the profit of the organization, because we try to improve the reputation and goodwill of the organization. So that's why we say that the health and safety is important to manage. As we say that there was a time when workers say that salary, we must be provided that attractive salary, but no scenario has been changed. No, workers are asking that they must be provided the healthy working environment. They must be provided the safe working environment. They must be educated at how to work at height safely, how to operate the equipment safely. And they always ask that we must be provided the safe machine to operate. We must have a suitable working environment. Which is the suitable working environment? Normally you say if we have the heating and cooling system is there, if we don't have the nice stress in the organization, waste management is there, health and safety arrangements are there, firefighting, I mean, you can say emergency arrangements are there, then we can say this is the good environment. If these things are not there, ultimately we can say that this is not a good or healthy environment. So question again is that why health and safety is important. There are different reasons to manage the health and safety. First one is the we discussed in detail, that is the economic or financial reason. My dear learners, when there is accident, organization will have to face the losses. And those losses can be related to the personal loss, injury, you can say disability or death of the individual, or those losses can be in the form of damages of the equipment. Those losses can be in the form of the replacement cost of the equipment, and those losses can be in the form of repair cost of the equipment. So generally we say that why we manage the health and safety, we always say that the health and safety is managed due to the financial reason. If there is accident, in case of accident, organization will face different types of the losses. So what can be the types of those losses? Those losses can be in the form of, if we have the accident, ultimately the consequences of that accident can be medical treatment cost of the injured person, repair cost of the equipment, replacement cost of the equipment. In some cases, your equipment is severely damaged, so that cannot be repaired. So you need to replace that equipment with new one. So that is the replacement cost. If person is injured, you need to hire another worker. So you need to pay the recruitment cost. There will be the training cost. And if worker is injured, he will be non-productive for the organization. So ultimately, that will be the cost for the organization. There will be the overtime cost. And in case of accident, your organization will be banned. Production will be stopped. There will be a production loss. Your client will be lost. Furthermore, if there is accident, your employees will not be happy. They will not be satisfied and motivated. So it means when employees are not satisfied and motivated, they will be less productive for the organization. And what they will do ultimately, as an outcome, they will try to leave the organization. And in HR language, we call it the employees turnover. Employees turnover means when large number of employees are leaving your organization, we call it the high turnover. It means when employees are leaving your organization, your trained and competent employee will also leave your organization. Even in case of accident, victim family will put the case in the court. So legal notice will be issued to the organization. Enforcement action can be taken against the organization. Even fine will be put up on the organization. And furthermore, your reputation will be affected. There will be the reputation loss or goodwill loss. And in case of accident, you are ultimately you will carry out the investigation. So there will be the investigation cost. How it will be the cost ultimately when there is accident. You will establish the investigation team. They will carry out the investigation. So ultimately during the investigation time, those people will not be productive for the organization. So that is the investigation cost. Even if we have the repeated accident in the organization, your insurance company will say that please increase the insurance premium because there is no health and safety system in the organization and number of accidents are happening in your organization. And my dear learners, one thing more which I want to mention. Normally, we people think that when employees are insured, when your machineries are insured with insurance company, then no need to manage the health and safety. Our all losses will be faced by the insurance company. So what do you think? Either in case of accident, your insurance company will face all the losses? Not at all, my dear learners. There are some losses which will be compensated by the insurance company. For example, if your equipment is damaged, insurance company will be responsible to repair your equipment. If employee is expired, insurance company will compensate you. But my dear learner, there are different types of the cost which insurance company will not pay. For example, your reputation loss. For example, your investigation cost. For example, your production loss, your client loss, as well as low motivation of the workers, as well as low morale of the workers. These types of the cost will not be paid by the insurance company. So when we are the safety officer, ultimately we are responsible to control these costs of the organization. If we are able, if we are competent to control these losses, then ultimately we will be considered as a good safety officer, as a good safety manager. Otherwise, there will be the question. So question is that why health and safety is managed? The first logic, that is the economic reason, that is the financial reason. If we have the health and safety system in the organization, we can control these losses, we can control these damages. And if we don't have the health and safety system in the organization, there will be a different losses and organization will face. My dear learners, this is the time, this is the era of competitive environment. Now organizations are competing with each other. And you can get, your organization can get the competitive advantage over your competitors if they have the health and safety system in the organization. So the first reason to manage the health and safety, to appoint me the safety officer, to appoint me as a safety manager, as a safety supervisor, that is the economic reason. The second reason that why the health and safety is important to manage, that is the legal requirement. My dear learners, each and every country have their own laws. And each and country have their laws that company must have the safety department, must have the zero accident, must have the safe and healthy working environment. So if you want to start your business, if you want, for example, I have the company and I want to start my business in my own country or in Saudi Arabia or Oman, ultimately I have to meet their legal requirement. I have to ensure that all those rules regulations have been implemented or not. So it means that is the legal requirement. You cannot run your business. You cannot get the project of government organization. You cannot win the project. Even you cannot attract the customers. Third reason to establish safety department, that is the moral reason. Moral mean as a human being, we are responsible to look after the workers. We are responsible to provide the healthy and safe working environment. We are responsible to promote the awareness in the organization. We are responsible to train the workers that how to work at height safely, how to carry out the manual handling safely, how to handle the chemical safety, how to avoid and how to prevent the fire, and in case of fire, how to control the fire as well. So on morality basis, we try to establish the safety department to look after the human beings. In this universe, human being is the most superior. So we should always be looking after the human beings. And generally, when we have the comparison that either employees of the organization should be protected first or equipment of the organization should be protected first, I always say that the employees should be preferred because there is no alternate, because we all know life is a one-time activity. If something wrong will happen, you will suffer, your family will suffer. So it means that the health and safety is managed due to the moral reason. Even when we talk about the managing health and safety, we always say that your family is waiting for your safe return. For example, if a worker is coming to the job, he is working safely in the organization throughout the day, and if he is returning to his home safely at the end of the day, it means there is the safety in the organization. And this will be the moral responsibility of the organization to educate the workers, because even workers are not educated about the health and safety. So this is the responsibility of the organization to educate them, to provide them the safety trainings, to provide them the safety equipment, to provide them the safety awareness, so that they would be able to protect themselves as well as they would be able to protect their other employees. I mean, for example, if someone is handling the chemical, he is protecting himself, but at the same time, he is responsible to protect other people from the hazards of those chemicals. Does not mean that he is carrying out the spillage, or if he is opening the caps of some vaporize or some other chemical that can cause that can lead to the polluted environment. So third reason to establish the safety department, that is the moral reason. Number of accidents are happening in the organization. Number of accidents are happening. Even there are different organizations at international level. They are always collecting the data that how many accidents are happening, what is the accident rate, what is the fatality rate, what is the health fatality, and what is the safety fatality. Like we call it the ILO, International Labour Organization. They would always be collecting the data, and they would always be sharing their recommendations and findings. They would always be working for the betterment of the workers, for the betterment of the human beings. They would always be working that what should be the minimum requirement that organization will have to provide. That organization will have to ensure that they workers with their working their organization, they should be safe. And the last but not least, that is the social requirement. That is the social reason. Social reason means that company is responsible to look after the society where they are doing the business. For example, I'm doing my business here. I have the construction company or I have the floor mill. Due to my business, there should be no impact and there should be no effect on the society. Mean impact or effects can be nice, can be pollution, or can be some, there might be availability of some vibratory equipment in my organization. Due to vibration, society is affected. So this would be my social responsibility, to look after the society, to protect the society, so the people should be safe. Even each and every company have to follow the CSR. CSR stands for corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility means that organization has to protect the society. They even, as per CSR, as per social compliance, organization is responsible to compensate the affected people. Organization is also socially responsible to provide the facilities like hospitals, medical services, like firefighting services, ambulance services, roads, even sometimes they establish the school and colleges in their facilities. Even sometimes they provide the different services, and even they provide the employment opportunities as well as to nearest people. So, my dear learners, basically, when we talk about the question number one, or you can say key learning point, and why is it important to manage safety? So the answer of this question is that there are four reasons to establish the safety department. First one is the economic reason, that is the financial reason. And one thing more which I want to add. Basically, when we have the accident in the organization, that accident would have the two types of the cost. Sometimes it will be the direct cost, and sometimes it will be the direct cost, and in some cases can be both. Means there can be the direct cost and indirect. And whenever I am calculating as an investigating officer, whenever I am calculating that what is the total cost of the accident, so I always say that the total cost is equal to direct cost plus indirect cost. Direct cost, that is the financial, that is the cost which we are paying in the form of cash, and indirect cost which we are not paying in the form of cash, but ultimately that is the loss, that is the indirect cost. So if we say that either the direct cost is high or indirect cost is high, I always say that the indirect cost is not only high, but it is 4 times higher than the direct cost. For example, indirect cost is your reputation loss, your training cost, your production delay, your client loss. These are the examples of the indirect cost. So, economic reason, legal reason, moral reason, and social reason. In some of the cases, social reason can be the part of the legal reason, because we have discussed society, for the protection of the society is the legal requirement. Even in each and every country, they have the law related to the social responsibility. Even in Pakistan, we have the authority that is called PIPA, Pakistan Environmental Protection Authority. And for example, if I have the training center and I want to have a contract with some other organization about the training contract, they will always ask and they will say that, Mr. Ramzan, we wish to work with you, but please provide us EIA certificate. EIA. EIA stands for Environmental Impact Assessment. We want to know that either your company is working for sake of profit or also working for the betterment of the human beings. So how this EIA certificate, environment impact assessment, can be achieved? Basically, they want to confirm that either this company is working for the betterment of the society, either due to their business society is having some impacts and effects or not. So how this EIA certificate, environment impact assessment certificate, can be achieved? Ultimately, I will put the request to the PIPA, Pakistan Environmental Protection Authority, and they will provide me, they will send the details. They will carry out the inspection. They will carry out the compliance check that either this organization is meeting all the social requirements. If they are satisfied, they will provide me EIA certificate, and that EIA certificate will be produced to the my client, and then I will have a contact. So this is called the CSR. This is called the EIA certificate. So my dear learner, this was the answer of question number one. We have discussed in detail that why the health and safety is managed. You can say this question be like that, why company will establish the safety department, or why company will appoint me as a safety manager. And in most of the question, in most of the time, uh, it will be the question during the interview that why I should hire you as a safety supervisor. What benefit I will get you after the point. Ultimately, you have to convince your employer. You have to satisfy him. Ultimately, you will say, sir, I will control all these losses as we have discussed in detail, your reputation losses, your recruitment costs, your training costs, your overtime costs, your production delay, your client loss. These all losses will be controlled once you will appoint me as a safety supervisor, as a safety manager. Now, we are moving towards the second learning point. What are your responsibilities as a manager? Ultimately, as a safety manager, we have a lot of responsibilities in the organization. We are responsible to control the losses. We are responsible to control the damages. We are responsible to control the accident. And there are many other responsibilities. We are responsible to provide the training to the workers. We are responsible, or we will be responsible to control the accident and to arrange the safety meetings. We will be responsible to arrange the safety seminars. We would be responsible to carry out the inspections, internal audit, as well as to meet all the legal compliance, as well as safety manager would also be responsible to consult the workers to ensure that everybody who is working in the organization, he should be safe. All the national and international requirements related to the legal compliance would also be implemented in the organization. My dear learners, as a safety manager, we have a lot of responsibilities. And as a manager, we can assign these responsibilities to our subordinate. For example, if I am the safety manager, I can assign my some responsibility to safety supervisors, to some safety officers, like uh, that you will provide the toolbox talk, and you will carry out the internal audit and inspections and preparation of the checklist. So it means that I can share my responsibilities. I can assign my responsibility to my subordinating staff. But keep in mind, as a safety manager, we can share our responsibilities, but we cannot share our accountability. So once there is accident, who will be responsible? Who will be accountable? Ultimately, safety manager would be accountable. Safety manager would be answerable. So it means you can share the responsibilities, but ultimately, accountable, who will be the accountable? Ultimately, you will be the accountable who will be working as a manager, safety manager. One thing more which is very important, that once you are working as a safety manager and you have a lot of responsibilities in the organization, and you are working as per the requirements, but at the same time, once the organization is giving you the responsibility, that you must have the authority also. I mean, generally, we say that the responsibilities without authority is a useless, and authority without responsibilities can create the problem. So once we have the responsibilities, so you must have the authority also, so that you people, as working as a safety manager, you will be people will be motivated. You people will be convinced, and as well as be working safely in the organization. My dear learners, this was all about the introduction of module 1, right? And in next class, in next video, we will discuss uh, further module 1 in detail. These things are very much important before moving or before heading towards the further slides of this chapter. So in next video, that will be part 2 of module 1. We will discuss all these 2 questions in detail. As we have discussed today, we will explain all these further. And this is all about this session. I hope you got some good messages. I hope you have better understanding that how the health and safety is managed and what is the role of safety officer and manager and authority. This is the time to say you Allah Hafiz, but your suggestions, your feedback, and your comments will always be welcomed. And that will be a source of motivation for me as I'm giving the training here because I'm self-motivated. I want to share my knowledge and experience. You people will watch my videos. It means you people are motivated and you want to learn something. You know, learning is the process that remains continued. There is no learning stage that someone claims that I have learned everything. I am the perfect person. No, no one is perfect. It means everyone is learning. And usually I say that this learning process remains continued till death. Death is also the learning process, but that cannot be practiced again. So I request you to have a comments and subscribe my YouTube channel, which is Training for All. Training for All means everybody, either is a safety professional, managers, or some other walk of life. We would have, inshallah, further more discussion. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.